Welcome back to my channel, everybody. It's time for another house building update, and today it's all about the framing. So I was hoping to get you a framing update that would include the entire process from the floor trusses all the way up to the roof. Unfortunately, things aren't moving quite as quickly as we'd like them to, and I didn't want to leave this video off any longer, and so I'm going to do a portion today and then I'll do the rest when the final framing is complete. Last I left off, they had finished the foundation. They were getting ready to lay the floor trusses for the main floor. And it was sort of just a big hole in the ground, and the trusses had just been delivered. If you're not familiar with how the truss system works, it's very similar to joists of the construction of historic houses. Now, probably in the last 30, 40 years maybe, the truss system has become a lot more popular. What used to happen before then was that they would get 2x10s and 2x12s to frame out the floor. They'd be spaced every so often to have the load of the entire floor. Now, the spans that they could reach were not very great, and so there'd usually be some sort of bearing wall that would run perpendicular, and this sort of limited the floor plan and how the entire space could be laid out. With today's love for open concept floor plans, trusses are a must because they can span quite a bit further. And so our floor truss system spans a total of 28 feet from sidewall to sidewall, and it's a clear span. There are no bearing walls in between, which means that we have the flexibility to put our walls interiorly anywhere we wanted them to go. To set the trusses on our foundation, the younger of the two framers needed to walk the foundation line almost like a tightrope. And that's a 9-foot drop on the walk outside, and so they sort of shimmied along, and he told me later it was a bit unnerving to be up so high, but they got the job done. It was really cool to go into the basement and sort of look up at the trusses to see sort of like it was sort of framing in the space and making it more human scale. And that was the first taste of what the house was going to feel like. Once the trusses were on, we did have a major rainstorm, and so we spent some time out there just sort of clearing out the water. We didn't want anything sitting on the concrete to ruin it potentially at all, and so we cleaned it all out, and then it dried up properly. A couple of days later they came back and they sheathed the entire main level, which made it sort of like a monolithic piece, so it's a structural piece that all works together. And once that was done, we got our first chance to step on our main level and sort of look around and see what our views were going to potentially be. We were so excited, in fact, that we went and grabbed Dairy Queen and went out there and had a little picnic in our future dining room, open to the air and just enjoying nature and each other's company. It was really a great time. The next step was also very exciting, and that's when the walls started to go up, and that really showed with the window sizes and everything what the views would actually be from each of the rooms. Now, when we do construction site visits, we typically do 2 in a day. So I'll go around noon when the kids and I are out running errands. I'll just swing by, and they'll usually be out there working, and I can ask them any questions I have, or they could ask me questions that they might have. And so just a quick site visit and review. Then later in the day, when Craig is done with work, he'll go to the site and check things out, take a lot of pictures for documentation, and send them back to me. And so one of the days, he went out there after I had already been out in the afternoon, and he took pictures and sent them back to me, texted them to me, and I noticed that the back wall, where there are the 3 small windows, they were not centered, and the middle window really needs to be centered. And so even though we're pretty non-confrontational people, we didn't want to ruffle any feathers. It had to be fixed because that center window lines up with the 2nd-story window right above it, and it just would have looked goofy if it hadn't been fixed. Thankfully, they were easy to work with, and they admitted their mistake and went ahead and fixed it right away. That did delay us a little bit, unfortunately, but we're glad that it got fixed. It was really exciting too for them to frame the interior walls when we could sort of walk through each of the spaces on the main level And they haven't done the basement level yet. They're planning on doing that after the roof is on and everything is a little bit more sealed up. It looked really great and we were excited to sort of walk around. I did take video of that walkthrough tour on Instagram. If you'd like to go check out my Instagram story highlights, I have it saved over there. Otherwise, in a few weeks when everything is finished with the framing, I do plan to take a little construction house tour and walk you through each of the spaces and kind of explain everything that way. So be watching for that video. They also went ahead and put on the second floor trusses and sheathed those, and also built the garage. And the garage is looking massive to me. We eventually decided to raise the sidewall ever so slightly, about 6 inches, and that allowed us to get 8-foot high garage doors, which I think will be nice for any bigger vehicle we may get in the future. It's just good to have that extra foot of clearance in the garage door. We initially had planned for a 7-foot garage door, and now we're gonna be able to get an 8-foot tall garage door. So we're excited for that. I'm really happy that my husband is finally gonna have a proper garage. He's waited many years for this, to be able to work in a space that's clean and has good lighting and is just spacious. And so I'm really happy for him. I'm also looking forward to having a winter with an attached garage, not just for my own sake, but for especially our oldest daughter who has some mobility issues. It was such a struggle for her the last 2 winters that she's been home with us to walk outside in the mornings on the icy sidewalk. It's just dangerous and not good at all. And so to have that attached garage for her is going to be a huge blessing. So our next step right now is essentially just waiting for the roof trusses to go up and then the interior framing to finish. The roof trusses were delivered on Monday, and so we were hopeful that they would be put on soon, but unfortunately they are waiting on a crane to be able to lift these trusses up. They're very heavy, very huge trusses. That's gonna happen next Tuesday, and so I'm hoping that they can get them all done in a day or 2, and that then that part will be complete. They'll be able to sheathe the roof, and then hopefully the windows will get put in and the place will be covered in waterproof covering, which we're really looking forward to this huge asset of ours to be more protected from the elements. We've had a lot of rain this summer, a lot of heat, and all of these extra things that are basically beating down on our materials of our house. It's just not great to have it exposed to the elements for too long. So we're really looking forward to everything being buttoned up and then to be able to start focusing on the interior work for a while. That will all be coming in a future video. I hope you'll stay tuned and subscribe so that you can check that out. And thanks for stopping in today and checking in with the progress. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to this channel or visiting my website, arrowhillcottage.com, for more tips on creating a simple home and living an intentionally simple life.